Okay, so I was looking at this, then I realized we didn't put the tolerance dimensions in. So let's go back and see if we can find those items. So the first one was in Sketch 1. I'm going to expand out for the boss extrude. Double click on Sketch 1. And we'll let it catch up. Zoom out just a little bit, and I did not mark those for drawing. So just off screen, I'm selecting, right-clicked on the dimensions, and I'm selecting Mark for Drawing. That will switch it. Double click again, you'll see that it comes up in black. The last cut extrude then was that one, so Mark for Drawing. And we'll save that one more time. And then I can go ahead and close it. It'll stay in memory. So when we mark for the drawing, then we're going to use model items. So under annotation, model items. And for the entire model, I want to bring in mark for drawing. So if I've set those, then it should bring those in. So dimensions, dims layer. Go ahead and hit OK. And so now I have a duplicate. Oh, didn't want to move that one. Wanted to move that one. All right, so I don't really like its choice of location, so I should be able to click on, and I'm holding down the control button. Oh, that did a duplicate, so maybe not the duplicate. Let's see if we can just left click, hold down. It's not letting me change position. Well, that was the original and the hole that the dimension was applied to, so we may have to go with that one. So in the inches, my tolerance isn't showing. So it's minus the point plus or minus or plus 0.003 minus nothing. So on the precision then, the unit precision and then the tolerance precision, we'll go to 3 decimal places and 3 decimal places. So 497 to 500. All right, and then on the other one, we'll pretty much do the same thing. So let's see if we just do the tolerance precision. All right, and if we were to remove the tolerance or the limit dimension, then it'd revert back to 2 decimal places. All right, so we'll save that. Save all, make sure everything stays in. All right, the holder block is a good one to just see how you're picking the concepts. This really shouldn't take that long. Our last piece will take a little bit longer. So when I'm looking at this, we have pretty much the 2 choices. We can do kind of the T shape and then come back and do the angles, or we can do the end profile and come back and do the notches through. So I think this time I'm going to do, let's see, we have the overall, we have a distance. All right, I can identify those. I think I'm going to do the angles and then come back and remove the side geometry. So I'll go with File, New, and this is in inches. And since this is, I'm going to be drawing on the right plane. And again, it doesn't really matter which one I pick. So for kind of a speed test, I'm going to go ahead and pick these dimensions, and then the angle comes up and over, and one comes down. And I'm going to use contours and regions. So I noticed that it picked the midpoint, and when I highlight, I can see the midpoint. So that's not desirable, but I do want to make sure that I have a coincident. So select, Control Select, coincidence. So the front will be 0.94 to the endpoint. 94. And overall distance is 2.44. And 45 degrees, picking between the non-parallel lines. we have 0.8 on the line, or on the angle, and then what across the front. So 45 on the back, 45. So then the choice is, if these are always going to be perpendicular, then I can select perpendicular. And I don't select perpendicular that often, so we'll go with it here. Features to extrude, we'll go midplane. I need to pick my contour, my region, so in this case it'll be the region, and it has a depth of 2.8. On the front plane then, or the front face, we'll draw in the two rectangles. I could make these symmetrical, but I want to show you the kind of an alternative. Since I select Control Select, I can make that collinear, and then come over in the same relation, set them to equal. And in effect, that has the same result as setting up for the symmetry. Just an alternative method. 0.4, and depth is also 0.4. And then we're going to extrude cut and go through all. Place the hole location, so we have 1.5 inches, and it's saying through the hole to the perpendicular surface, or through hole perpendicular to surface A. All right, so I want to make that vertical to the origin. That centers it. All right, since that, if we do the math, that comes out to 2 inch. We've pretty much centered it. We have dimensions of 1.5 for the diameter, and then 1 inch off of the base. Okay, and if I'm kind of interested to see what this angle worked out to. So about 2.12, so it's not exactly centered. And since they called it out as a through hole, it's going to be an extrude cut and through all. And we're kind of expecting it to make a couple of elliptical shapes on the lower back. So we'll go ahead and save that, and this becomes my 8.17. This is the holder block. And we'll save. Alright, so same process. I left the Assign6 sheet open. We did not apply any of the features or the fields for the file properties. So we'll go back and do that. And the inserting our holder block, create multiple views. We'll go ahead and insert all three. Scaling's okay. It could be a little bit better, so let's go 1:1. That's a little on the large side, but I think I can get away with it if I reduce the size. So for 1, I can use a custom scale for just that view and reduce it. I was going to put in the auxiliary view on this one. That was kind of the goal here. So we place our dimensions. Yeah, it's going to get a little crowded, so let's go back to the 1:2 for everything. So changing that back, then this stays in its custom scale, so regardless of what I do to the others, that one's going to stay 1/2. Let's go to a 2:3, or if I were to make it 1:1.5. If I make a 2/3 scale, that makes it a little bit bigger. I could make it a 3/4 scale. Okay, and that gives it a little bit more, a little bit better. All right, so not so concerned about the scale. 2.8, we just want to get a visual. And usually we would have the scale down here with the do not scale drawing notation. Applying the angles here is going to be the same as in the part. So 45 and 45. Pick the front edge, that gives me the 0.94. We have the 0.4 and the 0.4. The depth of 2.8. So I almost don't really need that top view because, well, we don't need the top view. All right, I'm better off with the auxiliary view. I've gotten everything into those front two views, so I'm just going to hit delete on the keyboard and delete that view. What I would like to take its place and be more useful is I'm going to select that angled edge, go back to my view layout and pick the auxiliary view, and then it's going to pick our numbers. That looks a little weird. So it has minus 135. Let's see what it looks like at 0. All right, so it stays in a line. I'm a little bit better with that. And then the annotation for the dimension will come off of the edge, go to the center line, 1 inch, and then from the lower edge. Now the problem with that lower edge is that's not really something that I can select. It may be where we want the position, but from a manufacturing standpoint, that's going to be a little difficult to position. I would be better off because I have an edge finder that is 200 or 500 in diameter that I can bring in. I can set up that angle, and I can bring in the edge finder to this edge or to this edge. And then from an inspection standpoint, I also have a little bit of an issue going from that angled edge in 1 inch. So it may make sense to dimension it that way, but if we're going to bring that as a hard edge, then I'm probably going to go with an inspection dimension. All right, so I can put it in the ob round. That's where I want to place it, but that's really where it needs to be. All right, so thinking, understanding a little bit about the manufacturing process and what's involved. If all the rest of the tolerances stack up and we're just a little bit one way or the other, we have the tolerance zones to work from there. All right, and then before we get away from these two, this one should still be open, so I can go to the window. Or let's see, I think Alt and Tab takes you to the Windows. So Control and Tab takes us to the Solidworks open documents, so we can pick on the document. If you created the custom properties, then we'll give it a part number. So this is and staying with my numbers, it'll be 817. And the drawn by, we'll give it mine. We're going to elevate this from concept prototype to production, and then the material. Oh, I didn't go back and go into the custom properties to adjust that. So let's fix that real quick since we have the so property tab builder. It's going to launch, and then I'm going to open up the part template, and we'll come down to material, and on its value we're going to set for the material and then make sure to save. And the choice here is that we're showing on the custom tab. If we do configurations, is everything in this part family going to be, well, this one wasn't called out as material, cold rolled steel. The other one, is everything going to be 4130? Are we going to make some in steel, some in brass, some in whatever? So I think I want that to be on the configuration specific tab. Okay, and then we can come back and save and close. We'll check, and that didn't update, so I want to go to the properties. And there's not really anything that says reset. If I change it to none, it updates, strangely enough. And we want to pick a plain carbon steel is fine for this one. And the color changes. We see that it's been applied. I'll go ahead and save that, and then we can close it. So now when I rebuild, we'll populate all those values, and the material didn't come over. So, well, still have some error checking on that one. Let's go into sheet 1. And the material, all right, so let's do a quick error check, edit the sheet format. So not sure what happened to my fields. We have the file name. All right, so let's go ahead and populate these properties. So I'm going to right click and open. And you can open any of the parts from the drawing view. All right, and then this one was our angle guide. And 816 run by. So part of the error checking is that, well, why isn't this working now? So let's go ahead and save, we'll close, we'll rebuild, and then this one came across. So maybe because I added it. And then what I was saying about the name being kind of long and stretching out to underneath my so we got the name, we got the drawn by, the material didn't come across yet. So let's make sure that got applied. And we can always go back to the file properties and double check. So configuration specific, the material. So since that did not come across, let's double click the apply. Go back to properties. So maybe because I did that in process, it didn't update right away. So it has that currently. And then we'll save it one more time. Come back, rebuild one more time. Okay, now I can see it. So since it was there and then it wasn't there, it probably was pointing towards the part file. So that's where I'm going to concentrate the effort on making sure that it gets into the file properties. So again, the custom properties, whatever is created here gets written over to the file properties, and it's just a time saver and a better graphical interface. Gives you choices and pull down menus to be able to work from. So there's probably a few more things I would like to add to the title block along the way, but for now this is looking pretty good, and we'll finish this one here.